And again, we welcome you back to Center Ice Arena, Traverse City, Michigan. The 2018 Prospects Championship game, a 1-1 tie after 20 minutes of play between the Red Wings and the Columbus Blue Jackets. And joining me now is the Director of Amateur Scouting for the Detroit Red Wings and has some ties as well with the Columbus Blue Jackets. We're glad you're here in Detroit, Tyler Wright.
Yeah, thanks. It's been a pretty good fast-paced first period, and it's exciting to see the kids play.
How good is it for your guys to be involved in a championship game, and what does it do for the psyche of those types of players?
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, at the end of the day, you know, we want to get them to come in here and kind of see what the pro style of game is in training camp, and it's a learning lesson. But at the same time, it's an evaluation for us as a staff and an organization. It gives us an opportunity to watch the 7 other teams that are participating and measure up their prospects as well. And at the end of the day, we're trying to create a culture of winning matters and what it takes to win. And you know, you come out here and you learn. And you know, this is a tournament that's you know, primarily for an 18, 19-year-old kid. I mean, it's a hard tournament to play in. So you get excited when you see a kid off the 2018 draft come in and have some success early. And so you know, obviously we've had a lot of picks in the last couple of years, and we're eager to get these kids into the development program and come back and create in this culture.
Tyler, you've seen 10 periods of hockey. I know that's not a lot to judge a player, but has anybody stood out in your eye that you've seen in the tournament with the Red Wings so far?
Well, I think we've been excited. Obviously, you know, I mean, you know, Michael Rasmussen's obviously come in with a lot of hype and having a good year going back in Tri-Cities. I thought, you know, first game, you know, I thought it was okay, maybe below average, but I thought the last 2 games he's played very well. You know, Zadina coming in as a first-year guy, I thought he's played very well. The progression with Dennis Chalowski has been very good. But I think I think the most exciting thing for us is the play of a guy like Joe Veleno and you know, Jared McIsaac. Obviously, he's not playing in tonight's game. You know, got banged up here last game, but for those 2 kids that are 18 years old and come into this and you know, they're playing against some, you know, pro-style kids that have played first year in the American Hockey League. Some kids have played some time, you know, in the East Coast League, and some guys are older men that have played, you know, 3 or 4 years at college. So, you know, we've been pretty happy with the majority of the guys. The Fulcher, the goaltenders, come in and played very well. So we've been happy, and we're happy that the kids are in the championship game.
What's it like? Take us through the draft where you're sitting down at the table in Dallas, and you know, you're looking, obviously, I would think, at some defensemen, because that's an area where you want to see some improvement down the road and draft some players. But then all of a sudden, you've got Philip Zadina on the board. What goes through your mind?
Well, there's a reason why I'm bald. You know, I mean, it really is. And I mean, we have so many meetings, and we dissect, you know, every aspect of the draft and players, and ultimately, I mean, you try to have a little bit of a gauge of teams' needs and try to, you know, see who's going to be going where. But at the end of the day, you don't want to spend a lot of time on it because you got no control out of it, and you're not going to know, and you're not going to be perfect every time with it. So the idea is, you know, you got to get your list right. Our staff is tirelessly, you know, back and forth from Europe, in and out of every arena. Obviously, we knew the importance of this draft with having 11 picks and where they were, more importantly, in the draft board. So, yeah, I mean, there were some targeted D, obviously, that were in that, you know, that 6 to 12 range. You know, maybe somebody could have slid into the 5-4 hole. You know, obviously with Kotkaniemi, they were started to get a little bit of a buzz about a month out that Montreal might step up, but at the end of the day, you don't know for sure. And then they did. You know, and Ottawa takes, you know, Brady Tkachuk, and now we're sitting there waiting on Arizona. You know, on Arizona, and you know, they make the pick with the Hayden kid, and you know, we had Zadina really high on our list, and time will tell, obviously, but it's an area of need for the organization. The lack of scoring, the ability to be a playmaker, the ability to be a game changer, in different facets of the game. We dissected and we studied him hard. Obviously, we did our due diligence, and we felt very fortunate that he fell to us at 6. And on the flip side, I thought we were very fortunate, you know, have Joe Veleno fall to us at 30. And at the end of the day, we're talking that there's some pretty good D in this draft. And we're going to walk away on Friday with, a pretty good defenseman, and we walk away with 2 forwards. It's a cliche, but at the end of the day, we got our list. We stick to our list. The picks went, and they were there, and we had to make the picks, and we were excited when we left the draft. Not only on Friday, but I think we're really happy as Saturday concluded as well.
And you talked about a player that's not playing, although I thought he was really played well in the tournament. That's defenseman Jared McIsaac, and he seems like to be a minute muncher out there on the ice. But are you pretty high on him? And he was a guy that you selected, I think, 36th overall.
Yeah, absolutely. And not only that, we took a skilled Swedish forward in Jonathan Berggren at 32, who's obviously, or 33, sorry, who's obviously not here, playing over in the Swedish Elite League. Another high dynamic offensive skilled forward. Jared McIsaac, when we're trying to build this foundation for, the next wave of kids to come through, Jared McIsaac just kind of fit the bill as far as, we have a guy with Hronek who's, can run a power play, and, Dennis Chalowski has taken a step offensively, and Vilisar Harvey, who has also had a very good camp, who spent the year in the American Hockey League, who we project to take another step this year as well. We just kind of thought that McIsaac would be a really complimentary guy with that, and exactly like you said, as being a minute muncher, and he can play on the power play, but more importantly, he can kill a 5-on-3. He can check against the best players in the junior leagues, and had a great showing at the Canadian World Junior Evaluation Camp this summer. So we're really high on him, and we're excited about these next group of kids coming up, and to kind of change. What we got going up top. We got some young kids that are starting to take bigger roles with Larkin and Mantha, and you're waiting for Bertuzzi and Svechnikov, and these guys come, and now these guys are going to be the next wave.
Now there's an opportunity, I would imagine, coming out of the regular training camp, which starts on Friday, that perhaps maybe after the preseason, if these players play well, some youngsters could possibly start the season with Detroit. That's going to be an evaluation process by everybody. But with that said, if guys do start with the big club, you don't want to put a lot of pressure on them too, and hope that they're the guys that are going to be your future, because it's all about confidence, isn't it?
Well, absolutely, and I can be attested to it. I was a first-round pick. I was 12th overall. I played as a 19-year-old. I scored in my first game. I thought I was going to be in the league, and I was ready, and everybody wants to play in the National Hockey League, and they think they're ready. At the end of the day, I wasn't ready, and it pushed me back. And so I'm living that, you live those experiences, and you try not to put these kids in a situation where you're not stalling their development, but you're not really helping them. I think, what we did with Rasmussen last year, he got into some games, scored, I think, 4 goals in 5 games. You get him back into junior. He had a monster playoff, scored 14 goals in 14 playoff games. Dennis Chalowski, we turned him pro. We got him, had some exhibition games. We wanted to get him out back into the Western Hockey League. Go play those big minutes. Go play on the power play. Learn. Make those mistakes, but learn from those mistakes. Be on the ice when you're down a goal 4-3. Be on the ice when you're trying to preserve a lead. Learn from that and learn at that level. So when you get that opportunity to come to the National Hockey League and you get an opportunity to play with the Red Wings, you're ready. And when you're ready to play, you're ready to take somebody's job. It's not going to be easy, because this is a livelihood for a lot of guys, and we want to make sure that, I think our development guys with Horkoff and Cleary have done a tremendous job. Obviously, guys that have played the game, and they've been through, the transactions and the ins and the outs, and they've had really good dialogue with it. So, you don't want to say he's not ready. You want to give him that opportunity. Physically, you want to make sure they're ready. But at the same sense, mentally, they have to be prepared, because it's an extremely hard league.
And it's important, too, I would imagine, that, the fans look and they say, well, Thomas Vanek is here. He's a veteran, had a pretty good year last year with a couple of teams in the National Hockey League. But you need those veterans to teach the young guys, don't you?
Well, absolutely. And Detroit, I've been here now 6 years, but, that's been the model for the last 20 years. And there's a reason why they've played, 24, 25 straight consecutive playoff. It goes from Steve Yzerman over to, Henrik Zetterberg and Pavel Datsyuk, and then you're hopefully moving that on into, the Dylan Larkin kind of era, and you want to continue with that same kind of culture that you have. this league isn't about making the playoffs. League isn't just about winning a round. It's about trying to win and compete for the Stanley Cup every single year, and we're trying to install that with these kids that, you know, you got to act like a pro off the ice. You got to have big summers. A lot of kids have, you know, really bought into the program. They paid their own money to come here and train in the summertime. They're investing in their careers, and it's starting to show on the ice.
Well, the future looks bright for Detroit. There's a lot of great youngsters that the fans here have been looking at, and all the best to you, Tyler Wright. I know it's a hard job because people don't understand all the traveling and all the time away from home that you do just looking at these players.
Yeah, I appreciate it. You know, but it's, you know, like you said, it's like
labor of love, though,
it's like any job. If it's too hard to do, don't do it. I mean, I love it. Never won the Stanley Cup. I'm not stopping until they either put me in the ground or I'm, you know, going to win it. So I think, you know, the only way you can get better in this league is you got to draft, you got to develop. That's just the nature of the business. Nobody's trading a top 4 defenseman. Nobody's trading a top centerman. If they are, they're getting the other pieces back. So you're kind of separating one from the other, and we got to develop them. And we think we got a good group of guys coming in here with a good group of kids that you know have already made that jump, and we want to make it, you know, kind of seamless and continue this trend. And you know, it's been a good weekend for us, and you know, our work's definitely not done.
Tyler Wright, Director of Amateur Scouting for the Detroit Red Wings, joining us. And Tyler, all the best to you this season, and keep bringing those pieces of gold into that Red Wing lineup.
Yeah, thanks. We'll try.
We're in the first intermission, 1-1 tie, championship game. Red Wings and the Blue Jackets. Second period action coming up next.